Burkina Faso's silent revolution, the battle that shocked the world. For half a century, the Sahel was treated as a wound, studied, debated, and exploited, but never healed. It became a symbol of everything the world claimed it wanted to fix, yet never truly understood. But in 2025, something happened that defied every prediction. Three nations, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, quietly joined forces under one mission: to reclaim the desert and with it, their right to decide their own future. What followed was not a rebellion, it was a redefinition. A new kind of operation led not from foreign capitals, but from African soil itself. It would test not only strategy, but sovereignty. This is the story of Operation Tindon, the day the Sahel stopped waiting for rescue and began to lead its own revolution. Stay with us as we uncover how one of the world's poorest regions launched one of the most sophisticated operations in modern African history. Subscribe for more. In Ouagadougou, the air hung thick with dust and doubt. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the soldier president of Burkina Faso, stood before a small table covered with maps and satellite images. Around him sat commanders from Mali and Niger, men who had once worn the same uniforms but fought separate battles under foreign flags. The room was dim, powered by generators and conviction. On one corner of the table lay a piece of paper with 3 words scrawled across it: intelligence, mobility, unity. For years, these nations had relied on outside help to fight terror groups that knew no borders. The results were written in blood and failure. French operations came and went. UN peacekeepers patrolled and withdrew. Billions were spent, yet the Sahel bled deeper each year. The foreign powers blamed corruption. The locals blamed abandonment. But now, the narrative was changing. Not from above, but from within. "Gentlemen," Traore said quietly, tracing a line across the map, "if we can share blood, we can share defense." It was the moment Operation Tindon was born. Named after a desert plain long used by smugglers and militants, Tindon was more than a military operation. It was a test of sovereignty. Intelligence networks across the Sahel had intercepted encrypted communications pointing to a major militant buildup, a coalition of groups linked to Al-Qaeda, operating under new command structures and foreign funding. But this time, the Sahel's response would not come from Paris, Washington, or Brussels. It would come from Bamako, Niamey, and Ouagadougou, 3 capitals often dismissed as too weak, too divided, too dependent. What they planned defied every doctrine the West had imposed for 50 years. Instead of waiting for clearance from foreign bases or coordination from UN offices, they would strike first, simultaneously, precisely, and independently. Burkina Faso mobilized its SR-5 multiple rocket systems, newly assembled under joint contracts with China. Mali coordinated air intelligence, while Niger handled real-time satellite tracking. For the first time in modern African warfare, the command chain was purely African. No interpreters, no second opinions. In the northern dunes, soldiers prepared in silence. They didn't march to music or speeches, only the soft hum of locally built drones mapping the sand. The desert wind carried tension, but also something else: anticipation. In the village of Arbinda, an old woman told her grandson, "Tomorrow, the earth will speak." He didn't understand, but by dawn he would. At 5 a.m., a single flare cut across the horizon. The signal. Engines roared. The desert shook. The SR-5 launchers fired in rhythmic bursts, tracing arcs of light across the sky. The operation had begun. From hidden bunkers, AES, Alliance of Sahel States, troops advanced with precision. Intelligence reports later confirmed the destruction of key insurgent camps, fuel depots, and command posts within the first 2 hours. To the untrained eye, it was war. But to those watching inside the AES command centers, it was choreography. Africa fighting in sync with itself. Villagers said the explosions sounded different that morning, not like terror, but like thunder that belonged to them. For years, one farmer told a local reporter, "We only heard foreign planes." This time, the sound came from us. By mid-morning, AES drones streamed live data back to headquarters. On screens deep underground, red heat signatures turned black as targets disappeared. Traore leaned over the table, calm, composed. "Phase 2, he ordered. Mali's air fleet responded. Low-flying jets retrofitted by local engineers screamed over the dunes. Their missiles were guided not by Western satellites, but by an indigenous digital grid built through pooled Sahelian resources. Below, Niger's infantry advanced, synchronized through encrypted radio frequencies. It was an orchestra, a demonstration of what happens when coordination replaces dependency. Within 8 hours, communications from the militants ceased entirely. By noon, reports confirmed that the network at Tindon had collapsed. The entire operation lasted less than 48 hours. No foreign officers, no collateral damage, no media coverage. But word spread like wildfire. When the smoke cleared, journalists arrived, some local, some from as far as Cairo and Johannesburg. They found not chaos, but discipline. Soldiers rebuilding roads, engineers collecting debris, officers mapping the recovered documents that proved what many had long suspected. The insurgency was not homegrown. It was financed and supplied through complex routes stretching into Libya and beyond. At noon the next day, Traore appeared not in a military parade, but in a dusty field tent near the front lines. His voice was low and deliberate. "We did not fight for applause. We fought so our children can sleep." Those words spread faster than any official report. Across markets, buses, and classrooms, they became a mantra. A simple truth spoken in the language of the people. But the true legacy of Operation Tindon was not destruction, it was construction. Weeks after the victory, Traore launched the Sahel Defense and Development Council, a platform uniting soldiers, scientists, and farmers. Its mission: to convert battle zones into agricultural corridors, to replace craters with crops. In Mali, irrigation engineers began designing water channels across former war zones. In Niger, students developed new drone prototypes using parts salvaged from foreign wreckage. A mural in Bamako captured the spirit perfectly. 3 soldiers standing beneath the Sahel sun, rifles lowered, eyes lifted to the horizon. Beneath them, a single line read, "If we can share blood, we can share bread." It became a movement, not about war but about ownership. As Africa rebuilt, the West reevaluated. Some saw promise, others saw threat. In Paris, the question was whispered in diplomatic corridors. If Africa no longer needs protection, what happens to those who once claimed to protect it? In the UN, speeches praised the AES's regional courage. In Beijing, analysts called it proof of multipolar balance. But in Africa, people called it something simpler: rebirth. Because in the end, Operation Tindon wasn't just about a battlefield. It was about memory, a moment when a continent long underestimated remembered its strength.